Follow the trend, tend to benefit while avoiding harm. Hello everyone, this is Mr. D. Today I want to share with you the 12 celestials. What is the 12 celestials? This table lists some information about the 12 celestials. This column is the Chinese name of the 12 celestials. This column is the pinyin of the Chinese characters. This column is the English translation of the 12 celestials. This column is their abbreviations. This column is their home. The 12 celestials are gods. Of course, they will have their own palace. Their palace is the combination of the 12 terrestrial branches and the 10 heavenly stamps, which is the successionary cycle I introduced before. This column is the 5 element attributes of each celestial. In the divination method of Liu Ren, the 12 celestials are like 12 gods in charge of heaven and the human world. Because the entire universe is controlled by these 12 gods, when we predict the development and the success or failure of things, we need them to give us some enlightenment. In fact, the 12 celestials are just 12 symbols and 12 kinds of energy or force, like the 10 heavenly stamps and the 12 terrestrial branches. The difference between them is that the 12 terrestrial branches indicate whether what will happen next is beneficial or disadvantageous to us. The 12 celestials are more about showing what is about to happen. In other words, in Liu Ren, the ancients used the 12 symbols to represent everything that would happen in this world. By understanding the types of events represented by the 12 celestials, you can predict which obstacles or help you will encounter next. Or when you know what type of thing you want to predict, you only need to examine the state of the terrestrial branch under the celestial that represents that type of thing, and you will know the success or failure of that thing. To make it easier for you to understand, let me give you an example. Before looking at the example, you need to know what the 3 transmissions are. The 3 transmissions are these 3 roads: 1, 2, 3. Remember what I said in the first video in this series? The 3 transmissions represent the beginning, process, and the result of things. In other words, the first row implies what will happen when the event begins. The second row implies what will happen during the development of the event. And the third row implies what the final result of the event will be. This rule is true in the vast majority of cases, but sometimes there are some exceptions. Let me briefly introduce the background of this divination. At 8:05 p.m. on December 26, 2020, my friend told me on the phone that one of his friends, who started a company, would ask him to work on a project with him next year. They had a very pleasant conversation on the phone at that time. My friend asked me, will their cooperation be realized next year? Okay, now we know what the problem is. Will their cooperation be realized next year? When I want to predict it with Liu Ren, at 8:05 p.m. on December 26, 2020. Let's input this information into Liu Ren's phone app. Click here, then we will get this information. In order to facilitate your viewing, I translated them into English. Then let us only focus on the English version. Because this video is to give you a general understanding of the 12 celestials, I will only introduce the meaning of the celestials here and will not explain too much about other symbols. Let's just look at the 3 transmissions and ignore the other parts. First, let's see what happened at the beginning of this event. HIs is the abbreviation of the hollow sky. The meaning of this celestial is deceit, hollow words, fantasy, without substance. From the meaning of this celestial, we can conclude that this friend of mine was deceived. I told him that the proposal of this cooperation is true, but your friend told a lot of lies in the details of the cooperation. I guess he lied about the prospects, how to make a profit, and his real thoughts of this project. You know more details about this project than I do, so you must know what he lied about. Next, let's see what happens in the development of this thing. GC is the abbreviation of the Great Clandestine. The meaning of this celestial is conspiracy, secret, something that someone doesn't want to be known by others. I told him that your friend will do something about this project before you two reach a cooperation, but don't want you to know about it. Although he doesn't want you to know, but you will know. Why? Because B is the general of the month in that month. The general of the month represents the sun, and the general of the month will be different every month. About the general of the month, I will introduce them in detail in the next video. The B here represents the sun, and the celestial here represents ulterior things. The combination of these 2 symbols is to tell us that the ulterior things will become clear in the world under the shining of the sun. Finally, let's take a look at the outcome of this thing. VB is the abbreviation of the vermilion bird. The meaning of this celestial is communication, quarrel, and contract. At 8:05 p.m. on December 26, 2020, the status of F is the empty and death, and I will explain it in detail in the future. Now you just need to know that means empty, nothing, unobtainable. F stands for empty, unobtainable. VB stands for contract. The information implied by the combination of these 2 symbols is obviously implying that this cooperation between my friend and his friend will not be reached in the end. You must be curious to know the true result of this event. 2 months after this divination, the friend of the questioner and another person secretly completed the project together. The irony is that they messed up the project, so they had to ask my friend for help on how to solve it. At that moment, my friend could finally be sure that he was being fooled. Each of the 12 celestials have many meanings. I will share all the knowledge for free in the following videos. You only need to subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, be your own prophet.